And hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report. Every week, Fred Altvater and I checking on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. Fred, hi, how are you this week?
Carlos, fantastic up here in northern Michigan. Oldest grandson graduated from high school yesterday, had the ceremony. That's always a big deal. And we had beautiful weather up here in the 80s. Look over my shoulder here. I got the Boyne sign up here. You can't forget about going to Boyne. It's absolutely beautiful up here right now this time of year, Carlos.
Oh man, you said the 80s? I mean,
Yeah,
are you sure you're in Michigan?
yeah, I know. I know. It gets down to about the mid 60s at night, and it's been getting up to about 83, 84 during the day. It's absolutely gorgeous. Just fantastic weather for this time of year up here right now.
No, we're going to have to talk a little bit about Michigan and golf in Michigan at some point. But today, we have to start talking about the U.S. Women's Open. No, I'm sorry. That's for the next one. We're going to talk about the Memorial. Okay, we're going to recap what happened there, where Patrick Cantley defeated Colin Morikawa in a playoff. But really, what everybody's talking about, Fred, is should we be talking about Patrick Cantley really as a winner, or that Jon Rahm had to be forced to withdraw from the tournament after he tested positive for COVID-19? Now, there's a lot of things that we can talk about. And then I want to start talking about that because Jack Nicklaus said something about the COVID-19 and your vaccination process and all this stuff. He said, this is a business decision for the athletes because it's going to cost them money. You don't get vaccinated, you get the COVID-19, it's going to cost you money. So for Jon Rahm, definitely this was a bad business decision if you see it that way, right? But there's arguments back and forth on both sides to be made. One is that one thing I can go against the tour and say, why you had to make this decision only because they did a split sample, and there usually should be two samples made. So what if, because there's a lot of talk about what if that first sample really is a fake positive? You don't know now because you take the same sample and just did a split sample. This is what happened in horse racing not long ago, and which is everybody's talking about the split sample. You should be able to take two of them and then make the difference and say, okay, this is what it is. Then of course the timing became something of a deal there because of course we got the rain delay and all this stuff. But why wouldn't the tour just let them finish that round, wait until after they can actually confirm that second sample and say, okay, now it is what it is. Both of them are positive and we can't do anything else. I understand the consequences of this. The rules are rules. I mean, Twitter came on fire right after that saying, hey, but why? Why did they have to force him to withdraw? Hey, come on, he couldn't play alone. He couldn't play in the singles there. Yeah, there's no rule that says that you're going to be able to play that way. Now, yeah, COVID-19, we've been through all this. There's so much now that we know. Even you would see Jon Rahm after that. He was doing a press conference on mask. He wasn't socially distancing. So where was that pressure to, hey, no, sorry, you have to go isolate yourself, but there's first of all, there's a rule. You cannot go and then play. The tour's not going to let you go play on a singles right after that. That's just not going to happen. They cannot make an exception because one thing, it's just going to be unfair. There were three other tour players who were forced to withdraw after testing positive during an event since the tour returned to competition 1 year ago. So what are you going to tell those three? I'm sorry, we're just making an exception for Jon Rahm. He's highly ranked. You guys were not. No, you cannot do that. Then the other thing is that when you send him out as a singles, hey, you're giving an advantage to him because there's he's playing on his own, and the others that are playing as twosomes have to go with that dynamic. You're just making it different from them. So on both sides, I can understand the question, Fred. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's also I was reading about, oh, but why you cannot force them to go take the vaccination? I mean, they don't have time. Sorry,
Yeah.
the tour, when you miss a cut, they have vaccines. They're on site on Friday, and they have it on Sunday after the tournament. There's no excuse for that. Now, I don't want to get in now into the, hey, the anti-vax crew here, and don't get it to me. I'm just trying to put both sides uh, of the coin, right? So yes, he could have. We don't know why he didn't, but one thing I assure you, Fred, I think there's going to be an uptick now into players going out and get the vaccine done.
Yeah, it's quite a situation. I just at the time I was watching it live. I was really watching, and I think more people were watching the U.S. Women's Open actually, but I just happened to catch it live. I switched back to see what was going on, and um, a couple of things. Number one, why in the world wouldn't he get vaccinated? I don't get that. I'm sure it's been available to him. He's had multiple opportunities, I'm sure. All he had to do was get it done and have it over with. That's number one. Okay. Number two, I'm not big on these samples because you can get false positives and all that stuff. It was supposed to be tested twice, but I didn't understand, like you just said, about the split sample. So it's really one sample. They just ran it twice. So that really doesn't mean anything to me then. And then the third thing is, I thought the tour handled this very poorly. They, they went down and met him immediately after he putted out on 18 in front of the fans, in front of the TV, in front of everything. I mean, it buckled him over. I mean, he almost went to his knees. It hurt him so bad. They should have done that back in the scores tent, or after he's turned into score, go into a meeting room or something and do that, and then alert the media. That was handled really, really very poorly. And I'll bet the Players Council is really on the tour about that. That was really not very well done at all. So, it's really unfortunate. And you talk about, cost him the 1.6 million of business decision. I'm betting it cost him more like $5 to $7 million because there's sponsors bonuses involved. Plus, he would pick up new sponsors from the win. That would have been his second win at Muirfield Village. I mean, that's big time stuff. That puts him in, a little higher category. Yet he's already, top 5 in the world, but that puts him up in elite status. I mean, Muirfield Village, the Memorial's like one step down from a major. So, it's big stuff. So it's really very costly for him. And now he can afford it. He's not going to miss $5 million. That's a lot of money to anybody, but he's going to have more money that he's going to spend the rest of his life and his kid's life. So, he's in pretty good shape. But it just looked really bad the way the tour handled it. From this tournament, Carlos, a couple things. I mean, one, that was really unique the way that handled. I mean, he fires a 64, 8 under 64, takes a 6-shot lead after 54 hole. I mean, he could have just gone out. He could have shot 75 and still won by 2 shots over Morikawa and Cantlay on Sunday. It was unbelievable. So I guess, this is going to come up in the future. I rank this like with, Stuart Sink is remembered as the guy that stole the Open from Tom Watson. Is this win for Cantlay? Now, again, this is Cantlay's second win at Muirfield Village at the Memorial. But is he going to remember for this one because he's the guy that won by default because Jon Rahm withdrew, kind of pretty much already had it won. So, it's really, really perplexing turn of events there. And I just, it feels really bad. One of the things that I really was amazed at, though, I mean, Rahm has won here before, was defending champion. Morikawa won the week before Rahm at Muirfield Village last year for the workday. And then Cantley had won here before in 2019. So you got three of the winners over the last couple of years right there, 1, 2, and 3. I found that really amazing. Of course, I was rooting for my guy Morikawa. Came up just a little bit short, but and I have to tell you, we're going to talk about the U.S. Women's Open in a minute, and I watched way more of that than I did the Memorial. All I did when I was watching Memorial, I was just feeling so bad because I wasn't down there in person, so I couldn't hardly watch it because all I was thinking about, I should be there. But I got a little bit about the changes to the course and the renovations and the course, but I'm going to turn it back over to you, Carlos, or anything else you got.
Yeah, I think golf in itself and all these governing bodies don't know how to handle chaos, right? Because right here is an example of, oh, we gotta just go there and right away tell them, hey, you have to go out. This is you tested positive. You cannot keep playing. I understand you want to keep everybody safe, right? But the same thing would be like, let him play. He's already there. Let him finish. Make sure you do the second sample, which they never did. That's the first beef I have with them. Why wouldn't you do that? So
He
many
didn't have to
false
do it right that
positives.
minute. They could have taken the second sample, done it overnight, and he just would have been WD the next day. Yeah,
And it would have been,
that makes a lot more sense.
it would have been even more later in the day, because at the time that it happened, maybe at 11 o'clock, they could have said like, hey, John, don't worry about it tomorrow. You're not going. It's both of them were positive, so you're not going to play. And it's really, I mean, seeing him, it really broke my heart to see how he felt, and I'm sure that's why a lot of people were enraged in Twitter, and really it doesn't bode well with the tour or any other sport when things are not handled properly. And the bad thing and the most impacted are Colin Morikawa and Patrick Cantley. I mean, they were out of it, and then all of a sudden they find themselves in the lead going to the final round. So moving from 6-shot deficit to a 3-shot advantage, and then they struggle though. I mean, and you're talking about the 2019 winner and the one that won the workday here last year. So Scotty Scheffler joined that three-way battle at Jack's Place, but it would be Cantley at the end who would rise above Colin Morikawa, and Scotty produce a par at the first play of hole to secure his second Memorial title. And we've been talking about Cantley coming up and rising. I mean, no disrespect to him and not taking anything away from him. If Jon Rahm wouldn't have been there, he wouldn't have had a shot, definitely a winning. But hey, congratulations to him on winning his second Memorial tournament. We all know how very important and what it means to him to win here at Jack's Place. We remember what Jack told him a couple of years ago that took him to win. So, but Fred, definitely we have to talk about coming into the event. Murfield Village had undergone a bit of a facelift, right, with changes being made to the 16 of 18 holes. So what were those changes, and do you think it's a very significant change what happened?
It really was, and I was watching very closely. As you know, I've had the opportunity to play the golf course on several occasions over the years, and there were some places that were really, really, really difficult. It was really hard, and Jack understood. He made golf courses really hard because that's what the owners wanted done back in the 80s and the early 90s. He's going back now. He realizes what a mistake that was because it's too difficult for the membership. Might be okay for the pros to play that, but the members who play it every day, it just beats them up too bad. And so there were a couple things that I really noticed that I really did not like there at Muirfield Village. Number one, the 15th fairway. So from the pro tees was up on a hill, you hit across a valley up to another hill. But when you played from like the members tees, you were down lower and you were actually hitting into an upslope. And it just took a tremendous amount off your tee ball because you were just hitting into the hill. they lowered that fairway 15 feet. They lowered that down 15 feet. Makes a big difference. I didn't have a chance to play it this year, and I can't wait to get and go and see that sometime. But that makes a huge difference there for the membership. Maybe not so much for the pros, but for the membership, that makes a big difference. Number 16, that green we've seen over the last couple of years, because he puts the tees back there on Sunday, back there at over 200 yards, and they're trying to hit the shortest club they can in there because they know if they hit the green, it won't hold. They can't. Pros can't hold the green because it's sloped. It actually kind of sloped away from them from back there, and so Jack realized that. So he raised the back end up 7 inches, lowered the front 7 inches, so it gave it more of a cant towards the player. So now they can at least hold a 6-iron or something if they need to go in there on Sunday. It doesn't matter to me, Carlos, because I'm hitting my 3-wood over to the right of the lake and then chipping it back in. I can't get across the lake there anyhow. So it's a 2-shotter for me to get on the green, so it didn't matter. And then number 4, another par 3 that people don't realize it, but it sits on the side of a hill, and so the right side, is really higher, and the thing really goes right to left hard. And so again, when I would play there, I would hit something right at the bunkers on the right side, knowing that the hill would kick it left, and I'd end up on the left front of the green or down the hill, in front of the green. So, but the players now, he softened that slope up and made it so it's much more gettable. But again, it's more for the members. It's still tough for the pros, but it's for the membership. And I applaud Jack for doing that. I mean, every green, he did something to every green. Normally on a renovation, you just do a few greens and do some stuff, but he worked on every green, did that big change on the fairways on 15. And it just, it really has enhanced the course and really updated it and made it modern. When Jack goes in and just like he did at Great Waters at Reynolds Lake Oconee a couple years ago, and I've played that golf course before and after, and he just did some things that just made it shine. It just really updated it, made it a lot better when he went in and renovated it. So he's got this figured out. He's doing a really good job right now on that stuff.
Most definitely. I mean, one that really caught my eye was the first hole, 30 more yards. And hey, Cantley and Morikawa both bogey that first hole. So and they were saying, it shocks you to see that it's that big now, farther away than it usually was. So to start right now, it's not an easy hole especially in the the fourth round, when you have a lead or something like that, like it happened to them. I mean, it dictated how their day was going. It was a struggle all the way. It took off up to the 15 to really start to separate themselves from the rest of the tournament. So,
well, we were looking at last year, weren't we? Looking at DeChambeau hitting it down there within 50 yards of the green or something. And Jack said, "We're not going to have that anymore." And so he just lengthened it out, which he had room to do that. So, that's a tough hole to begin with, but I think it was like the second or third most difficult this year, which is really unbelievable. Number 10 is usually a bear. And so there's just a lot of tough holes on that golf course, I want to tell you.
Oh, definitely. But that's what makes it for a great tournament. I mean, every hole is a battle in itself, just like at the Masters, right? So that's why it's so interesting to see these tournaments there at Murfield Village. So, Fred, anything else you want to add before we close it?
No, I think we really covered it. Great. Again, the great memorial weather pretty much all week. It did rain early in the week and made the course a little bit softer there. But 13 under, they didn't really tear it up, did they? I mean, they played pretty good on Thursday and Friday when it was softer, but Saturday and Sunday it firmed right up, and they still could not. They didn't. Morikawa and Cantley sure didn't tear it up on Sunday.
Most definitely. But hey, it was an interesting tournament. And with that, we wrap up another edition of the Back Nine Report. So we thank you for joining us and supporting us. But if you want more information and to stay up to date with any videos that we make, subscribe to this channel and you'll get that information. Also, subscribe to our Twitter account at Back Nine Report. The number 9 is in the middle. Thank you for joining us.